We're choosing America's Morning Headquarters as we break down the threats to your day.
The Weather Channel will track severe weather all day and into the evening to make sure you and your family are safe.
There's a lot to talk about here. We've already had storms yesterday, last night, and it will continue pretty much nonstop today.
Yeah, so storms have already caused significant damage in several communities across the South and are now taking aim farther.
System bringing all of the threats in a very big way. So we'll break it down starting with the tornado threat. There is a tornado with thunderstorms moving on in, although multiple chances of getting storms both later this afternoon through tonight and into tomorrow. Let's time out how it's going to play out here. We're expecting the chance for thunderstorms and possible severe weather, heavy rainfall like you see right here. We're watching a whole zone across the south and east that could get into rainfall on the order of an inch or two or more, actually. And so that's likely to cause some potential issues with flash flooding, especially this area into Alabama, into Georgia, including around the Montgomery area, but including all the way up to Middle Tennessee, where we've been dealing with heavy rain already. And then the threat for severe weather does continue tomorrow. We're watching the Florida Panhandle, Panama City, Tallahassee, watching Florida State. You guys are under the threat for severe storms. We'll keep an eye up towards Macon and then see that chance of storms continuing all the way into South and North Carolina. A lesser threat than today, but still a risk that some storms may go severe up there. Now, there's still a risk of tornadoes tomorrow. There's a 3 on our Torcon that includes into southeast Alabama, like around Dothan. We're looking at the Albany area, Valdosta, and even Jacksonville. We'll keep an eye on storms as they get into your direction. Want to time things out for you. So this is the future radar. This is overnight tonight. Again, this heavy rain that you see here in our virtual Atlanta space indicates, what we're going to see all across this zone, from Atlanta up to Rome, Georgia, up to Chattanooga and Knoxville. Thunderstorms continuing through the overnight, all night, a pretty loud night, we think, and then into your Wednesday morning. And for some, it's back to school. For teachers anyway across the South, I know you're probably back to school by tomorrow, and everyone, I think, is back to work at this point. We're going to be watching for that line of thunderstorms on the move about the time the kids are getting off the bus here into eastern South Carolina, North Carolina, and then southeast Georgia. So this is a long-running storm system, and we started yesterday with it in Arkansas and Louisiana and Texas, and we're still dealing with it by early Thursday morning, or overnight Wednesday into Thursday, when we can finally kick it off the coast. There's a cold side to all of this, and that's where we find the snow streaming along, moving at 60 miles per hour, so moving very fast. You can see it now heading in this direction towards the north and east. This is Doppler radar indicated rotation, so we'll zoom in to show you where that is. Just south and a little bit west of Meigs. Right in here is where we see that apparent rotation based on Doppler radar velocity. So it has not been confirmed, but it's certainly, you can see where that rotation would be, where you see the pixels change color real close together, where you have that yellow and then the grayish. So this is the area to watch. It's, again, that tightest rotation just south of Meigs. It's moving to the north and east, moving at 60 miles per hour. And there's been a lot of heavy rain concerns with this whole line as well as it comes in. And so don't think that you will necessarily be able to see it, because there is a lot of rain involved in this. We're tracking it to Otway at 9:22, to Valley at 9:32. And Valley, you're just on the edge of that warning. But we take it beyond there to Fair Oaks at 9:40 and South Webster at 9:46 to give you a heads up if this storm cell holds together, and given the direction that it's moving and how fast it's moving, want to make sure that you have an early heads up to take precautions and get to your safe shelter. This particular product is the correlation coefficient, and this allows us to see, is there any dropout, indicating, is there something other than rain that we're watching? Is there debris in the air? There is not. As I take a look at this right now, this overall is not showing that just yet, but we are going to continue to watch that particular cell as it moves to the north and east. It's moving very fast at close to 60 miles per hour, according to the warning. And we're watching this with heavy rain potential too. That's been a calling card with this whole line of storms, as from western Tennessee into western Kentucky and now up into southern Ohio. We've got very heavy rainfall. Doppler radar estimates show us a widespread close to 1 to even 2 inches, some spots getting 3 inches of rain in just the past 6 hours. But look at this. So this is what is tracking up in this area, and we're looking at rainfall here over the past last 6 hours, more than 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. These are Doppler radar estimates, but look when you zoom in, some of them 5.6, 6.6. This is south of Owensboro. This is all just south of Louisville. And this zone will be tracking up towards Frankfort, and we'll continue watching heavy rain as a concern today. Now, we're also watching the snow and ice. Lynette was talking about that. Let's give you a firsthand look at conditions affecting families under the alerts from the winter storm. Mike Seidel is live in Minneapolis. Mike, I'm watching the radar and watching the snowfall rate start to pick up just to your west, so you're going to get it soon.
Yeah, in fact, it's snowing right now. I don't know if
rain coming our way. We'll see it right through the evening hours into the overnight hours, and it may not be nonstop, but I'll tell you, it'll be pretty continuous here with rainfall coming into much of Alabama and now North Georgia by tonight. The risk for severe weather is also there, but the rainfall threat is going to be the most prolific and widespread risk that we see from Tennessee all the way down to the deep south into the overnight. So let me show you that and what we're going to be watching for you in the forecast. There's the risk of flash flooding through tomorrow morning from middle to eastern Tennessee, all of Alabama. We've got Georgia in that as well. Likely area to watch, Montgomery, and then stretching over towards Columbus in Georgia. And the risk actually extends into the upstate of South Carolina as well. You know, we've got that risk of storms that could be severe, and it continues overnight, but especially we'll pick it back up again tomorrow here into South Georgia, Albany. We'll keep an eye on Valdosta, Tallahassee, down to Panama City. We're looking out the Florida Panhandle. You've got the risk of storms, and Dothan, Alabama, still worried about storms for you early in the day. The Torcon is a 2 up towards the Atlanta area, especially south of town, like towards Peachtree City and Fayetteville, and then a 3 down here into central and south Georgia from Macon to Albany, and then down into the Florida Panhandle. We're talking about Tallahassee and Apalachicola, Port St. Joe, some of the cities we're looking at, Panama City and Destin. Anyone in town, anyone planning on doing any traveling, let me help you plan out your timing because you want to try to avoid this weather. Now, it's going to be with us this afternoon, and you'll see this spread into the area through the overnight hours, continuing through the early tomorrow morning. So this is tomorrow morning across North Georgia, across western North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina. A lot of rain, heavy at times, trailing thunderstorms all the way down into the deep south, including around Tallahassee. By the lunchtime hour, you'll start to see things evolve more into southeast Georgia, and that continues into the afternoon, eastern South Carolina, from Columbia over towards Charleston, and then here to the Piedmont of North Carolina. We've got thunderstorms coming our way. They may be severe, although we won't have quite the amount of instability like we have to deal with today. All right, then to the northern side of all of this, Lynette, and we've got snow and ice to talk about. We'll view thunderstorms will bring in some heavy rainfall, some potential for strong gusty winds, and there is that risk for severe weather even into North Georgia. You know, I mean, look, the rain coming down, the lightning lighting up the night sky. Yeah, you know what kind of night you're going to have. The dog and the kids all snuggled with you, right, because of storms. And you do need to have a way to be woken up in case there are warnings, because that is a possibility. Let's look at the forecast, and I'll time things out to show you where we shift to severe weather for tomorrow. It doesn't end. This is a long-lived storm system. We'll be on day 3 of it now tomorrow with the risk of thunderstorms bringing heavy rainfall. That's going to be a very widespread concern from Tennessee through Alabama all the way down here into Georgia and the Florida Panhandle. We've got that chance of flooding or flash flooding. Especially likely is right here across south central Alabama, nosing its way into Georgia, including around the Columbus area, and also bringing with it the threat for severe weather. Tomorrow, we've got a chance for possible storms going severe from Macon down to Albany, Valdosta, watching you, Tallahassee, Dothan in Alabama, and down towards Panama City, too, in the Florida Panhandle. The Torcon tomorrow is a 3. Now, today the peak numbers are a 5. The peak number tomorrow is a 3 on this Torcon. The scale goes to 10. We do have the risk for storms, though, also turning potentially severe or tornadic, even up into the Carolinas. We've got to watch that. It's a 2. The risk is definitely lower than it is today across that zone, but we just have to certainly watch anything on the radar. Now, as we look at the potential for storms going overnight, this is the forecast radar. Looks busy, right? It's going to be a loud night with a lot of rain, heavy at times on the rooftop. This is 5 a.m., so this means it's going to be a very tough early morning rush hour around the Atlanta area, Chattanooga, Knoxville, too, with that rain moving in. We'll be watching for that risk of storms right through the morning hours, then moving out Atlanta after lunchtime, but then moving into places like Charleston and Savannah for your evening commute home, and also for the kids getting off that bus tomorrow as we, for a lot of you, kicking off the school year for January. Then to the northern side, We've got snow out. A very warm day all the way up through the Ohio Valley. And with that, you've got the risk for rain that far as well. Now, we do have rainfall that has been very heavy south of Louisville, more than 5 inches, maybe some spots more than 6. A big zone came in with some heavy rain earlier today that dropped nearly 5 inches of rain near Bowling Green into West Tennessee, like around Memphis. We saw about 5 inches of rain at the airport. I was adding it up. We saw about 3 or 4 north and south of there. And then into Arkansas, too, we saw 5 or 6 inches of rainfall. Flooding and flash flooding has been a problem so far today. There were a lot of flash flood warnings earlier. Now we just have this one up here in Kentucky and one still in effect there in Louisiana. But that may be something that we have to watch more of this afternoon. So stay tuned for that risk. Nashville, the rain has been heavy. We've had more than an inch of rain there. We've been watching this line of thunderstorms and along it some areas where we have strong damaging wind potential. So along this line now, which is in northern Alabama, northwestern Alabama, for Colbert, Franklin, and Lawrence counties, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, and Tuscumbia, you're in that. You notice that the tag on the warning is tornado possible. There may be some areas of rotation in here that could develop, so that's something to watch. Not enough right now to warrant issuing a tornado warning. We have another severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Starkville in Mississippi. It also includes West Point, Mississippi. This goes until 11:45. This thunderstorm coming on in may bring winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. A lot of instability out there already. There's going to be more, actually, throughout the day today. The background color that we've put on this map here, the radar overlaid on top of it, the background color is the convective available potential energy. What kind of juice do the storms have to work with? What's their fuel, basically? And that's building in this zone right here from Kentucky into Alabama. And that'll be the area that we could see some of the most intense thunderstorms through the next couple of hours. We have a tornado watch that is up. This goes until 5 o'clock this afternoon. You can stay prepared.